Hey guys, welcome back. This week I want to talk a little bit about the idea of nudging your students to do the right thing. And so I'm going to point you towards two resources, and I'll link both resources below. The first resource that I'll link you to is actually a Twitter post from Randy McCarthy. And one of the things is that he did to nudge his students was change the way he asked students if they had questions. And this really resonated with me because I made the change a couple of years ago from, do you have any questions, to what questions can I help you with? Because what that phrase does is it assumes that they have questions, and if they don't have questions, they can simply say, oh, I don't have questions at this time. But it actually really prompts those who do truly have questions to ask them. And so I thought that was really neat to see that another professor was using that, and I hadn't really realized that it made such a huge difference, but in reflecting upon the practices, I certainly did find that more people would ask me questions when I assumed they had questions. The second resource that I'll link you to is one from Nudge as well, nudge4ideas42.org, and I'll link the whole link below. But this does talk about many things about nudging students, but one thing that it did say that caught my eye was the way that I was referring students to seek out support services. Because this report identifies that many students don't seek out the support services even when they need them, and they tend to think that sometimes these resources aren't for them, or they're for other students, or that they don't really truly need them, or if they want them, they don't know how to access them. And that's a really big problem, especially in students who are not yet fully acculturated to higher education. And so one of the things that I did to try and encourage students, that's a nudge that gets them to go seek those services, is how to utilize my office hours. And I'll be the first to say that I wish my office hours were busier with students. But I find that often students would much rather email me questions, and then sometimes I'll call students physically, than to show up at my office hours at a specified time, and of course on a specified campus and a specified location. And what I ended up doing is I discovered accidentally, oops, pardon me, let me get my computer to sit down. I accidentally discovered that if students think they have an appointment instead of dropping in at office hours, they're more likely to come. Now, I don't know if this is true of everyone, but what I found is that when I told students, hey, stop by office hours, they're right before class or they're right after class, students would be like, oh yeah, I'll grab lunch and come by. And then they often didn't. But one time my phone was buzzing while a student was talking to me, and I kind of habitually just pulled it out of my pocket, and she thought I was going to schedule an appointment with her. So I was like, oh, sure, let's schedule an appointment during my office hours. And so I literally just typed in her name on my little calendar slot that has office hours already blocked off, and she actually showed up. And now I don't know if this is true of all students, if all students will show up when they make an appointment with you, but I find that even when students can't come, they're likely to call me and say, hey, I can't come, or they'll email me and say I missed the bus. And so I know kind of why they didn't show up at office hours. And this has been something that I've been doing really only for about 8 months or so, not even a year, and I've found that it's worked pretty well for me. So I'd love to hear your thoughts. What ways do you guys nudge your students to seek out support services when they need them? And what other ways do you nudge students to get them to really interact in class more often? Go ahead and mention things in the comments below, or shoot me an email if you're not wanting to publish anything super publicly, and I would love to hear your responses as well. Have a good rest of your day. See you next week.